Alright guys, we are now live. The chat is taking some time to load. Okay, now it's loaded. First, I'm just going to go on Twitter and let everyone know that we are now live. Okay. Yes, the mic is not off today. Nothing will go wrong. The title is right. We are in game development channel, broadcast language English. Okay. Actually, now I'm a little worried because since nothing's gone wrong at the beginning, maybe something will go horribly wrong in the end. Alright, first of all, to start off, what I want to do is show you guys. So, I actually went to the co-working space today up on the north side where Chris and David work. There's like, it's the Indie City Co-op and a bunch of game studios in Chicago. Indie game studios are based there. The Young Horses, they made Octo that. They also have an office there as well. Not in the same space, but in the same building. So it's kind of the indie hotspot, and I go there I used to go there once a month. They have lunch every Friday, indie lunch, and I used to go once or twice a month. But the problem is the summer in Chicago. I'm on the south side, so it takes me like an hour and a half to get there on a good day. But during the summer, they do so much. There's like so many festivals going on downtown that all the buses are rerouted, and it ends up taking me like 2 hours to get up there. So, yeah, 4 hours on public transit to and from is just too much for me, so I don't really go up. So today was like the first time I've been up there in like 2 months. But PC crash, whole game on. We fortunately have it backed up. Fortunately, because of David coming on board, he got lots of really great. He set up perforce and everything, so we are all good with that. So anyway, let's talk about the runtime level editor. So I think we're doing some thinking today, and I think we're not gonna worry about making the level editor work on the PlayStation 4 with controller. I think it's just too much, and it's one of those things where it's like we could make up some weird thing working, you know, where it's like hold L2 to do this, do that, but I think ultimately that would just be a very painful way of making stuff. So like it wouldn't be fun, and it would take us a tremendously long time to do it, and then support it too. Plus, I'm looking at games that have level editors. I talked to Octodad, they don't have level editor for PS4, just PC, and they said they've gotten like 1 or 2 email requests asking for level editor on PS4, so like I don't think it's not really, people aren't really like modding there. Plus, like, I think when you're doing level editing, it feels more like work, which, to be honest, if I'm doing workish stuff, I'd much rather be on a PC using keyboard and mouse. volume has a level editor, but volume is like a single plane, and you just extrude faces to different heights. So that's completely not on the same level. But anyway, let's talk about. Let's see what David. So David's done some really great stuff today. So I don't think so. Yeah. So first, the key thing that we wanted to work on is so he's now has this thing that has like a item. Oh, I think it's okay. So it's actually a little bit broken. Like I can't move it right now. Yeah, the top level movement system is sort of broken. But anyway, because eventually what we want is for people to parent these boxes, right? So you should be first of all you should be able to do multi-select. Oh shit, we have multi-select working. I mean, well, you can't do anything with it, but you can multi-select them. But the idea is you can kind of group them into a parent so that you can rotate it all together. So if you want to make a column, you can do that. And like when we started to think about, you know, having people name objects, having people group and ungroup and parent stuff, doing it on, well, eventually we'll be able to do stuff. I think just the top level movement that was working yesterday, it's not working right now. You know, eventually, it's just going to get super complicated that I don't think it's really worth making it, work with the controller. It's just not worth it. The thing, though, I am a little bit bummed out because I was really hoping to, I thought, like, what's really cool is the share button on PS4 that you can like take a screenshot and just post that on Twitter. But I think there's enough stuff from the game. Like I wanted people to, you know, not spamming. Spamming is the wrong word. But I mean, we might still do a photography mode for PS4. Where you can pause the game and take a screenshot, and like it'll let you tweak all of the image effects to kind of do cool stuff. Because I do want people to make stuff, you know, I do want people to be able to share kind of cool moments like this from the game. But this is an actual game level, I think, and it's like I don't think you'd be able to make something this complicated using the controller. You know, there's just too many details. I think you can do it, but it would be extremely painful, and it would take you, you know, 5-6 times as long to do it on the PS4 with the controller than to do it on desktop. So, but you would be able to kind of like tweak the shader effect and get something really cool from there. So what else we have? So yeah, so we're working on the scroll menu, and eventually, I don't think I'll let you do prefabs, but you can have, you know, you'd be able to make a column and then kind of connect that. It's not trying to be this like, we're not trying to take over. Oh, and you can switch between orthographic. I don't know if I showed you guys that. You can switch between orthographic and perspective projection. This is actually really more for me. I don't know if anybody else in the world prefers working orthographic, but oh, we might want to work without shadows actually. But that's kind of how I prefer it. And when you go into world wrap setting, you can actually choose. This is actually a really cool thing. Oh right, so we need tab button working on this. Huh, did you guys see that? So actually, I need that's a good thing to let David know, which is when you are putting in 1 in the distance, it actually like putting the one value there is actually causing the camera to switch between orthographic and projection mode. Actually, that's not really. Maybe I'll put it up on there, just so he knows, even though it's not sort of a major issue. Checklist some bugs. What is this? Entering 1 in value input also toggles ortho curse camera switch. Alright, so file. Yeah, so it's actually pretty complicated because you got to do a lot of stuff, like when you click on it on the outside, then it's changing what's active and what isn't. We are looking into making a really solid in-game UI stuff that's gonna let us work well. Bombernauts level designer, is that David? I haven't played Bombernauts. Is that do they have that for PS4? Did I see Lasky's tweet? Interesting, because with Vassar, I don't know if you see me do level editing, but I work solely in orthographic. Oh God. This is David just tweeted this. Don't get late as of the editor. Push some in progress stuff that will hopefully be done end of day tomorrow. I said, whoops, too late. Come on, David, you know we go on live at 8:30. Hey, Stuff Matt Does, how's it going? So yeah, we're just, apparently we just got, so I've been showing everyone our in-game level editor, and then David, the programmer, who's been working on it, just tweeted at me saying that it's broken. So, but anyway, I think this is all really cool. We are going to work on, we're going to like take the time to actually write a really good in-game UI, similar to, it's funny, like when I first started working on this game, I didn't know anything about game development, and I had like, I kind of thought the way Unity did things was the right way, and now I'm like, there's so much I'd love to see it, especially after talking to guys on Crow Team that have their own engine and have been working together for 20 years, how robust, like all the features that they have in their game engine. Right, like basically what we want to do is have all of this stuff and just have it automatically formatted. Like, what's really great about this, like, okay, so a lot of this stuff that ImGUI has, like these buttons, these drop-down menus, these sliders, Unity has them too, right? What's really great though is this thing looks awesome as a debug menu. Like, I feel you can put this in a game and not have to do any changes to it, right? Because it's a debug menu and this looks perfect. This looks like we're just making a really garbage Flash game. I mean, that's just like the default Unity buttons and stuff. So, Matt, sup Matt Does, I'm glad you finally remembered your Twitch login. I have 3 Twitch accounts. This is the main one. This is the real one, though. So, anyway, but I actually, you know what? Let me show you the world wrapping stuff, which is really cool. So, okay, right. Anyway, this is a problem that we've had before, which is that the outlines that you can see in the editor are now in the, yeah, it's not the debug font at all. So, it's like, it's kind of annoying that we have to, like, make things look like a debug font. But I think he said if you hit Q, what's really cool is you start to see the, you can actually see the outlines you can see the distance at which the world wrap distance is being drawn, which is really cool. Right, because a lot of this is I want you to, yeah. I mean, I'm not setting out to make an educational game, but I think it would be very, very cool to have, you know, that you can play and actually learn some pretty cool high-level math from here. Anyway, that is our level editor. Eventually, we are going to have some side panels. We'll be working on this. I think this is actually something we might be, not the entire game, but just the level editor. We might start, yeah, level boundaries. I think we might be sending this out soon for people to play test and give feedback on. So if anybody's interested, stay tuned. Yeah, mostly we just want to, because I think this is going to be like, this is going to have its own separate debugging stuff than the game. And it is separate from the game, so we don't kind of have to worry about that. But anyway, that is our level editor, which is coming along very well. Let's also get back now to our water stuff. Close some of these that we don't need. Manja, you want me to keep the ugly Arial font in the game? Nah. Whoa, what the heck? Why is the frame rate so insanely slow? What is going on? Okay. There's some... Oh, okay, so the... Oh, we've disabled the water cubes. Alright, so actually one of the things we talked about is that I don't know why the frame rate is so insanely slow. I think there's something going on that's... Alright, so we're gonna have this water disappear instantly. So right now you can see that it's actually, it does this like retract thing coming down. We're just gonna have it like slightly fade away. Cause the problem was that it lasted longer than it needed to. It lasted longer than it felt, right? Like you would... I think part of it too is that this feels a lot like the Portal light bridges, and those disappear right away, and I think this causes... having it not disappear right away is just a little bit confusing. Really not a big fan of how this water is looking right now. Also, I can't rotate onto it. Okay. Notes for Chris. We haven't done one of these in a while. Notes for Chris. 2015. 08. 25. You should be able to rotate onto water. Water from either side. Also, right now, can only rotate when looking at box. This should work for the entire water mesh. disappears faster than the scrolling textures. Well, no, the way we're gonna do it is actually just have the whole thing fade out.
Alright, so I was, we were not going to change the, I think we talked about having slightly thicker water, but actually we decided that's actually not going to be such a problem once we start having, we're just going to have the water, like, the whole strip would just fade out. I think I do know what the problem is, which is that it has to do with the trees. For some reason all these meshes got... I don't know what happened, but all these trees got like turned around. They're all like, you can see they're all... Oh, never mind, I fixed them just now. Okay, like here, for some reason this tree is like... I don't know what happened. But they all got rotated around. Let me see if this works. We need to also test it. Oh, the other thing that's very, very cool that Chris worked on is these, so if you guys remember the color changing beams, remember one of the problems was that once they were in the game, it was actually kind of hard to see which direction the box was going to fall in. So we put these arrows now on the base of these color changing beams. We're going to redesign these, of course, so it's not going to look like this. But the problem was I didn't want to have to go inside and like adjust each arrow every time I turned it. So now it actually, you can see it actually automatically responds to the direction. So it's like I can, you know, you can change this around. And it will point in the direction of purple, which is going to be very, very helpful. Definitely. So that's actually one thing I wanted to test. Now let me get the. We're gonna get back into level design in just a bit, but I want to move this player over and just make sure that. Make sure the trees are working. I'm gonna have to come back and do this. This part's really boring, so I'll do it after the stream or during the day tomorrow. It's like I just need to go through and line up all the trees again. This is why like we're sort of not doing we're not designing puzzles right now, because I know we're still, since we're still setting up the mechanics, things are gonna break. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Right now the trees are working. We're grabbing them. The cubes are obviously not lined up properly, but yeah, we can start doing that. So frame rate and redux level is insanely slow. Alright, I'm gonna just send this to Chris on Slack. When I sharp turn the water, it travels very quickly. Yeah, the visuals of the water is still work in progress. We're gonna be tweaking all the textures. All of those are RCC, yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's that. We're gonna go back, hopefully get water done.
We need to start working on portals soon too. So color changing beams, that's done. We need to work on the new new designs for these giant blocks. That needs to get worked on. Interlockables. Oh, Chris. Sorry. Yeah, he's the programmer. Chris7001. So I do not recommend working on a mechanics-driven game. Like, this is all we need to make sure everything works together. We are almost done, though. I think end of September we'll be there. But now we are going to go ahead and start with... Hey, by the way, has anyone here played Volume? Curious what people think of that one. All right, let's actually just start working on the level now. This is the fun stuff. Let's not. I don't want to play with this. Alright, so actually we are going to start, one of the tasks that I'm going to have David, never heard of Volume? It's a new game by the guy that made Thomas Was Alone, Mike Bithell. So, I want to show you guys, so this is the Unity, the ProBuilder stairs generator. So you can see it does the two versions. One is this, kind of stairs with the sides, and then you can do it where it doesn't extend the sides to the floor. Oh, never mind. I think it does do what I want, but it doesn't do what am I saying? It doesn't do the staggering, right? Which is kind of what I need here, because one of the things that I noticed is this is how we can have thick floors. Like, this is if the floor is 0.5, but if the floor is 2 units thick like this, we actually have to place each piece like this. So I'm gonna have David do this, generate this, so that, you know, I don't have to place everything by hand. So this is actually something that's like bothering the hell out of me. Sorry for all the swearing. This is late. Is that the, I don't know if you can see it, but the way, like, ProBuilder does the mesh outline is slightly offset from the collider outline. You can see the blue is there and there's that gap. When you zoom in, it goes away, but, like, when you zoom out at first, it's just totally driving me crazy. Anyway... Let's, first of all, let's make an empty game object for stairs. Did I ask about volume last time? I think I probably did. Alright, so we are putting these stairs, well, let's call it 8 steps, 12 wide, because it has 8 steps and it's 12 units wide. Volume is the sophomore installment game from Mike Bithell, yes. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious if anyone's played it. There's, I don't know. I've been. Steam Spy is really great. It's definitely very, very useful. So the net benefit of it far exceeds the negatives. The only problem is, like, I'm just checking that site obsessively now, trying to gauge how all the new games coming out are doing, and they don't seem to be doing very well. And I know, like, that's not something I should worry about right now, but certainly it's as someone who's been working on a game for, you know, I've been working on this game for almost 3 years now. It's probably going to be 4 years by the time I'm done. Maybe more, I don't know. But yeah. I mean, I think also a lot of it has to do with building a community and building a pipe and getting people excited about your game. But yeah, anyway, so this is so like last time, what we're doing is we're making everything in prefabs, and so what we can do is then make changes very easily moving forward. Infinifactory. I have Infinifactory now. I need to start playing it. Again, it's one of those games that, like, I was gonna start playing XCOM Long War over the weekend. I was gonna start playing XCOM Long War over the weekend, and then all of a sudden I forgot I like didn't do proper lighting in the scenes, and then I just came back here and started taking screenshots instead. So that's what's happened to me. So what we're gonna do is actually we are going to make a prefab out of this. So right now, basically at this point, we're still just kind of blocking out the overall geometry of the world. You can see, so some of you guys have probably seen the screenshots, right? Like this is hands down the best screenshot I've ever taken. I'm so happy with how this turned out. It really looks like, I feel like I'd see this in Blame as like a 2-page spread. Like this looks like it could be in Blame, and this looks like something that if I'd seen in Blame, I would just be like totally crazy over it. And I'm kind of super happy that this came out of the game we're making. So eventually it's gonna get this detailed, right? And so you can see there's all this little stuff there. And I think a lot of you we did most of this on the stream, you can kind of see how it happened. But the idea is we start off with kind of the overall shape. Now, the one thing with this one was that there wasn't what is the weird stuff at center screen? I'm not sure which one you were talking about, David Kilmer, but essentially we kind of work out like the big overall stuff. And this one, these towers are very separate. Hey, Latravis, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by again. I was just talking about kind of the overall process when we were designing this level. We were spending a lot of time on the overall structure, and then in this one, the geometry idea is that it's a single tower going down. Now I'm actually sort of hoping to get a lot of kind of to play a lot more with that. Oh, you're talking about this? That's just how the shader turned out. I actually thought it looked really cool. But then what we do is, we get the overall shape going, and then we start to go in and fill in the details. And so the way I was imagining this one was sort of this this wide path connecting. Oh yeah, and also this one we want to do like W27 paths. Now I'm doing this so that I don't accidentally change the prefab in another scene. Unfortunately, I don't think for the level editor that we're going to be able to do prefabs. Yeah, that's like, the thing with with Octodec, because they made their own engine, they basically just opened up their level editor part for players to use. Like, they basically just gave them this, and unfortunately we can't just release Unity and call that our level editor. it would be part of it. It's like, man, I really wish Unity opened up Unity inside Unity. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, wouldn't it be great if just in a game at runtime you could have this stuff? Like, you could choose how much to expose it. So the reason why we want to have all of these as prefabs right now is then later I can make one change and have this change the complete everything else in it. By the way, so who else here is going to... Don't worry about the witness, David. I've played it at PlayStation Experience, and it was amazing. Are you worried about it because you don't think it'll ever get done, or are you worried about it because you think you're skeptical about the puzzles? Yes, I do not have any game experience prior to Relativity. This started as a way to learn to get familiar with Unity to make another game. Like, I thought this would be like this 3 months project to kind of learn the ins and outs of Unity, be familiar with it, and then now it's almost 3 years later, and this turned out to be the game I'm making. Yes, David, it is more than solving mazes. It's amazing. I was skeptical. I was like, man, he just made a bunch of 2D mazes and then put it in a 3D world and you walk around in. And then I played like 10 minutes of it at PlayStation Experience. Like, it's at this opening area that's just kind of an intro. You're closed in, and then once you get out there, you really start to figure stuff out, and it's really exceptional. So with shader stuff, I have a number of sources I want to recommend. There's like the CG Unity wiki. This is like CG programming Unity, right? It has a bunch of shaders on here, minimal shaders, and it's very well commented out. I recommend just copy paste this, go inside, copy this code, put it inside a shader, and start playing with it, right? Because then you start tweaking. You'll be like, at first you're just like it. So I used to work at a studio that made science museum exhibits a long time ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, and we were doing open frameworks, writing. Thanks, David. We were writing open frameworks, and I was working on this exhibit. I didn't really have to use shaders, but with open frameworks, it's like, it's C++, and if you wanted to, you can kind of, it's got all these functions like draw circle, like OF, open frameworks, draw circle. But all that was just like a bunch of OpenGL stuff. So if you actually wanted to do more fancy stuff, you can kind of get down into it. And I remember reading through the OpenGL Red Book, like cover to cover, and I didn't really understand much of it. And it took a while to get used to the vertex fragment pipeline. But once you wrap your mind around it, and you will, because this is like changing the vertex, so it's like it's moving the stuff. It's like if we have this, what we're doing is all the vertex is like the position of this, and then the vertex one you can choose to stretch it. So I don't know if you ever see the ones that like, where it's like a bunch of spikes coming from an object. That's the vertex shader. And then the fragment is when you want to color it. So if you start playing around with it, right now this is going to print red, right? Because it's returning float 4. That's a color. It's set to OPEG red, right? And if you start playing with it, you're going to see it change. Now, there's shaders that go on materials, and there's post-processing shaders. If you want to learn post-processing shaders, just type in Unity depth normal texture. I can't type. And this is not very useful, the Unity manual. This is not very useful. Yes, yeah. If you want to do like an ocean wave, that's pretty much that. The smart way, you can like actually change your mesh. But the smart way would be to use a vertex shader for that. So this is not super useful, this Unity doc. What you should read, though, and Google's, it's number 3, is my 3-part tutorial on depth and normal textures. This is so good that I use this when I want to work with depth and normal textures because I forgot what I did, and I wrote this back in November 2013. Now, some of the code is not working, but that's just because it's updated. But you can kind of figure it out. So that is what you should do to get started. So, all right, now let's back to that, and it's just a lot of like trying things, you know. I mean, and then talking to people. I got a lot of feedback from Lucas Pope. You know, he made Papers, Please. He's working on Return of the Obra Dinn, and we've talked, and he's a real shader whiz. So is Ezra. We're gonna have Ezra on the show sometime next month, hopefully, after this PAX madness is over, and yeah, well, you know, you just start to like kind of learn all this different way of doing things. Yeah, like this guy Nicholas Golden was using the tutorial over the weekend and got a bunch of cool stuff working. The stuff I enjoy writing more is screen space post-processing shader. That's the one that goes on the camera. A lot of people use shader forge, and those are shaders that go on the materials itself. We do use some of those. A lot of times you can do like transparency shaders, like the way our trees grow right now, we scale the object, and I don't like that look. What I want is actually this transparent shader that keeps the top of it cut off and then slowly reveals it. We're having a ton of problems with that because of our edge detection shader, because when you're doing transparencies, it has to do the rendering. You have to really think about the order in which things are rendered, right? Because what you want to do is, you know, if you have a piece of glass, you can't actually look at the depth values because that piece of glass is then going to be in front of stuff, right? So you want to render that glass after the stuff behind it has been rendered. But that means then the edges isn't going to get rendered because the edges are using the depth information, so that's not going to get rendered. So the glass isn't going to get the edges instead. And I don't think you can choose to render stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think my plan is going to work. That's annoying. Well, I started working on the shader today, and then I was just like, Chris, you figure this out. I'm going to do level design. Well, and which I think is the right decision from a production standpoint, because whereas Chris could actually write the shader, he can't do any of the level design. Like, the level design is the one part where I'm the only one that can do it. So I think it makes sense for me to put all my focus on that. But yeah, Matt, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have other questions. We're not going to be doing shader development on the stream for some time, just because what I usually like to do is like a deep dive into that one part of the game and just get those problems fixed. And then go move on to something else. So the idea with this level, and I'm gonna go ahead and just delete all these other pieces because they are annoying and getting in the way, is I want more staircases. All the levels, all the big levels we've designed so far have been very single axis centric. And what I mean is it feels very clearly like this direction is up, that is down. And you can't, when you go on the side, it doesn't feel as right. And this is one level where I'm trying to get away from that and having a much more, have it feel much more like there is no biased direction. I'm wondering, have you done any marketing promotion stuff already, or do you have anything in mind? I'm curious about your question, because in some ways I feel like I've just been doing marketing all the time. I'm not doing... I'm not buying Super Bowl ads. I don't think... Yeah, I think indie marketing is very different from AAA marketing, because with that it's like they make their game in secrecy, and then when it's like 2-3 months away from the game, they just buy out all the channels, and IGN's covering them, and all the big, like Metal Gear Solid 5, right? It's like they just right, they don't do marketing. So I don't really do marketing like that. I just try to keep development open. So I'm doing the stream, which it's not. I don't know if I would even consider marketing. I kind of do it just because it's really fun for me, and I get to tell people about the game and show people my process. But I post screenshots, and that, if marketing is just having people find out about your game, I post screenshots. I post on the devlog. That's kind of it. Yeah, I do want it to stand out. So we are using, but right. I mean, all I'm doing, like some of the screenshots from this weekend were like they got a ton of retweets on Twitter. That was huge. Like my Twitter notifications were just going crazy. So let's see here. Right, I was just kind of and I wasn't even thinking about that. I post screenshots all the time, but yeah, and I don't think these numbers are very important, right? You're not doing this, but it's like I posted the screenshots, and it went viral in Japan. Like somebody, a bunch of people in Japan were just retweeting it. So I guess they really like these images, and that got 43 retweets. I mean, I just kind of post stuff that I think looks cool. Right, this one with the new lighting, that one got 62, the 67. Again, and I'm not really telling people to buy the game or anything. I'm just sharing stuff about the progress. I think this one everyone really liked, but for me it's this image comparison. I was just I'm just blown away myself. But that one got 116 retweets and 269 faves. John Blow retweeted a bunch of these images, and I got 400 followers in 24 hours. It was insane. So yeah. Hey, Ed Riofer, how's it going? There was that short segment at E3 and the trailer. Hey everyone, yeah, I don't really plan on doing some weird campaign. My approach to marketing is I'm gonna keep streaming every night, show people what we're working on, make really, really great screenshots that everyone goes gaga over. I know some developers spend half their budget on marketing. I don't want to be steam bombed. I know some, and I'm I don't know about that. I don't want to yeah, we're just gonna make great stuff, great content, put out. I'm gonna be releasing a bunch of wallpapers in all different dimensions: HD, normal, widescreen, mobile, dual screen, of the coolest screenshots I found, and they're all generated from the game. No touch-ups in Photoshop. We're working on a new trailer, but that's with a lot of that is for the new name announcement, right? So I'm not doing what I'm saying is I'm not doing this short burst marketing thing. My idea is just to keep the process open, and I think if we keep making really cool looking things, people will post them, will share them, and will tell other people about the game and get excited. So that's my marketing. I don't know if anyone has suggestions, but I would like to hear more about it. Like, for me, I'm super happy to be doing Twitch, because as it turns out, development on Twitch is really the best way. Everyone is like, they see the screens and they're like, oh, what's this? How does your game work? And then I gotta like find a GIF and then like type a paragraph and be like, oh, all this gravity, you do this, you do that, and then they change it, and like nobody understands what's going on. But in Twitch, I could just be like, okay, well, let me show you. So that's what I'm focusing on, and yeah, like I am taking it to. Oh, I'm not worried about Steam Greenlight, right? I mean, this game is already, like, it's coming out on PlayStation 4. We took it to E3 with PlayStation. Like, PlayStation's excited about it. The game's been backed by Indie Fund. So, I don't think so. Like, you know, when I guess I have, like, 4,282 followers. And I mean, that stuff isn't important, but you know, like 2 years ago when I was just starting this game, I had like 200 followers on Twitter, and so that number growing is just an indication to me that people are finding out about the game and exciting about it. Certainly, Chris, I'm curious. Like, how did you know about the game? I mean, certainly you're here, so I suppose in some way our marketing efforts have worked. I mean, I also think one of the things I realized is, like, a lot of people are saying, well, you guys just got to get your game everywhere, and you got to have PewDiePie playing. But for me, it's like, I've come to realize this is not about a game. E3, right, yeah, so that was a big deal. But part of it is that I've come to realize that this is not a game for everyone, and I don't like nothing against PewDiePie, but I don't know if his style of playing really syncs with what I'm trying to accomplish with this game. So to sort of make the game appeal to that. Like, I don't think I'm making a mass appeal game. I like to think it's a lot like Inception or Interstellar, and if you're excited about that, then you're going to be very, very excited about this. Right? But that's a movie where, yeah, like, I don't think it has mass appeal, but the people that like it really, really like it, and I think that's really what I'm doing here. Like, I don't have cute characters. I can't make plushies. So if people are making game purchase decisions based on cute characters, that's not going to work for this game. So yeah, delay the game over 4 months. Twitch. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I really think what David Kilmer said, right? It's like, keep doing the small stuff. For me, this stuff is like low energy effort. The thing I like about Twitch is, like, as opposed to trying to email journalists, which actually takes an insane amount of time, is, first of all, you don't know if any of them are actually going to email you back. But the thing with streaming on Twitch, what's really nice is actually I actually just get work done as well. And I don't have to, like, try to think about how to do the opening sentence or Yeah. But you know, I am paying attention a lot to what games are being made, how they're doing their marketing. But yeah, I mean, I really think the best marketing, and this is something that John Blow has said to me, which is just to, well, not to me specifically, but it's just to really make the greatest game you can, right? I think if you are making a game that just screams of quality, right? Like The Witness is a day one purchase for me, for sure. Like I'm not waiting for reviews. I'm not waiting. I don't care what Polygon or IGN says. They could give the game 0 out of 10, and it wouldn't matter to me. I'm gonna buy that game and play it. Right, so the idea is that we want it to kind of keep turning and then eventually figure out, well, great permutator. Yeah, exactly. So Chris, so that's exactly what I'm saying, right? It's like, making a great game. Well, okay, so that is true with what Diganeshi said, about Snakebird, but, let me see what the Snakebird numbers are. Because I actually think that is actually a good case of it. Alright, so, yeah, they sold like 6,000 copies, but like, I don't think these guys did any marketing. And this is all through like word of mouth, which I still think, it's not great, but I think it's better than a lot of games that have come out recently that I think have done a big push. Like, I never heard about Snakebird until it came out. But, yeah, it's not great, but I feel like they literally did zero marketing. And it's still done a lot better, just through, like, people really enthusiastically talking about it. So I think it's like, well, can you imagine if they had actually done some marketing, how I think that would have been. Yeah, they weren't into open development GIF loops, right? Like, I literally never heard about it until through the puzzle. I think someone, well, Matthew Vander, I think that's his last name, talked about it, and then and he got John Blow to play it, and I think that's how I found out about it. And then some people found out about it through me. Yeah, Main Jai is like starting to think Main Jai is getting a cut of the LB Great Permutator, and I would totally check it out. I've just been so insanely busy making this. Oh, we're also gonna get autocomplete. It looks too much like a mobile game. I mean, it's also insanely hard. Let's, I'm gonna just post this on Twitter, let everyone know. Speaking of marketing. Still streaming. Now working on a new level. Come see it get built from the ground up. And where is it? These are all the screenshots I've taken. Eventually what I want to do is release a video of every single screenshot, just like this time-lapse with every single screenshot. Come say hi and see it get built from the ground up. Just like a time-lapse, and it would start... I think I've probably taken over well over 100 screenshots now. Right, it would start from this stuff, and we would just like keep going through this up until Where is this? Let me see. There's like some secret stuff on my desktop that I'm trying to hide. With the new name announcement. So, I think maybe. Yeah, just getting it up to this level. People don't write a lot about puzzle games except there is no ground. Exactly, that was my joke, David Kilmer. Thank you, you got it. I was being very, very subtle. Yeah, I was talking to Reagan, which is a real shame because I think N++ is kind of an incredible achievement, but I think they didn't do any marketing. Yeah, can you imagine from this up until the one I just posted, right? Where it's just, like it would take you through 3 years worth of screenshots from this to this. This to this. So stoked. Right, so basically, kind of with this one, I wanted, you can see that you're descending these steps, and then what happens is it kind of goes down into here, and then we continue to descend these steps, and you're always bending to the right. So you know you can mouse over the very bottom of your screen, there is a secret Easter egg. There was a link to an early video. Hey, Dark Lightscraft, how's it going? Yeah, no, like one of the, like, well, actually, that's not even the very first screenshot. That was the screenshot of the rewrite, right? This was the very first version of the game looked, this is what it looked like. That's the very first, like, I did that in Unity over the weekend. Yeah, that's from this version. This was done during Thanksgiving weekend. That was the first thing, made this in like 2 days. Yeah, and it had the world rotated, so this is a different version, and eventually this got completely scrapped and we started up from the beginning, but yeah, so that was like the very first version. Here, oh yeah, so we did some more with it. I worked on it for about 4 months. I met the Young Horses, they made Octodad. Yeah, I don't know about M++, man. I kind of wish they did a lot better, and that's one of the games that gets me really confused. So it keeps, yeah, I worked on it for 4 months, took it to Young Horses, and the game just had all these problems from a design standpoint, and I started from scratch. Started from scratch, so that was Relativity 03. I think a lot of these have dates too. Yeah, see? Test screen 2013, July 1st. This might even be a little bit earlier, I think, because these might have been taken from... This is actually more April. I think I don't know why it's labeled that. Right? This is, then it went back to April. This is what it looked like then. Yeah, I think these are actually taken from, yeah, July. We're going to trip down memory lane. This is July. Normal, so this is where we switched to, instead of the world rotating, the player rotated. And then I was like, okay, this is the first time we're getting the Florida color. 60 FPS. Right, we still had the buttons at that point. Still learning. And Relativity 06. So okay, now things are getting better. I'm playing around with lighting, shadows at this. There were still no windows, and everything was still inside a room. The boxes didn't have any symbols on them. And I can almost pinpoint every single idea in the game where they came from. Like, this is the floor coloring was from my friend Pedro. He was like I have a really hard time keeping track of all the walls. Why don't you color all of them? We colored all of them, and it just looked ugly. But then I thought, hey, you really only need the one you're standing on. Yeah. Dig the non-white glasses. What non-white glasses? No, the Penrose Steps is very... That's based on a fixed... That's based on a fixed perspective. Right, we're starting to learn with lighting, and at this point there were no windows. So my friend was like, where's the light coming from? And I was like, don't worry about it. Right, so we're playing with some fog, we're playing with some lighting. Why is BitTorrent? No. Yeah, so you can see I'm playing with this staircase. Now this puzzle actually stayed in the game too. Yeah, I still had like lasers back when there was still death in the game. And it's funny, I had like this level. This was a very funny level. I think one of these days, not today. But I still have all the builds too. I have all the builds I've kept. So there's like 100 gigabytes worth of previous Relativity builds. This was a level, and I think it was around June, and it just had this like super long tunnel that you kept falling in, and it was like a mood piece. I was like trying to be super artsy, and there were these little platforms that you jump from, and you wouldn't see the bottom. Eventually, like after 15 minutes of falling through this, you'd see the bottom. And what's funny is like you actually get that exact same feeling now. And I put the laser here because I didn't want you to walk on the wall. I didn't want you to walk on the wall here, which is why the laser was there. I wanted you to fall. Except now with the wall wrapping, it does what this is trying to achieve in a much more elegant way. So it's kind of funny how it's like, I think I wanted the goals of the game very early on, but just like was not getting them right. Like this is such, like, because I wanted this feeling of descending, like this dream world of falling through this infinite abyss. And the way I did it here was, first of all, it had this laser which killed the player and just destroyed immersion, and was this very not elegant way of not letting you walk on the wall, right? And it fell for a long time, and you didn't really know what we were doing, so maybe you thought the game was broken. So you couldn't get into that mindset. And then it also didn't feel very big. But now with the wall wrapping, it's like it's all part of this larger system, and there isn't anything that's trying to kill you, and you can also fall. And so this isn't actually infinite, but the way we have it now is actually infinite. So you could actually fall forever, not just 50 minutes. So it's kind of funny how this has just turned around. It was really stupid. I was like being really artsy. Dark Lights Craft. Yeah, I mean Gamer Camp by then, that was like very... By Gamer Camp it had already been very clearly fixed, because how do I say this? Like, Gamer Camp was October 2014, and I started going to game events with Indicate East being my first one, and that was beginning February 2014. So Gamer Camp was the end of 2014. I had already, by that point, I'd been to like 13 different game shows, and had gotten maybe almost 1,000 playtesters by then. So Gamer Camp version was really polished. This we're talking 2013. Like, I didn't even know the Chicago game devs that well at this point. Chrono Dragon box and button-based testing is a staple of puzzle games everywhere, even since before Portal. No, the world wrap was not part of the original design. And a lot of people ask about that, and it's a really funny thing, right? Because it actually came from... Here's the thing, is that the idea came from Alexander Bruce, who made Antichamber, and we're going to talk about the ending of Antichamber has world wrapping, 3D world wrapping. It's not really a spoiler. I need to start posting again on the devlog. It's been a really long time. But what happened was it came through a conversation with Alex Bruce. I got the edge detection working just a little before PAX East 2014, and I was seeing him there. We were talking about edges, and I think this is what the game looked like. So yeah, I don't think we had edges here. No, there were no edges here at this point. But yeah, you can see we had water working. I had water working back in March 2014. Yeah, so we got into Mega Booth, and I had, just before then, I got this edge detection. It didn't really look great, right? And there was nothing in the sky, and when you fell off, you just faded. And I remember players were really disappointed when they went outside because they were like, "Oh man, what happens when you jump off?" And they just faded, and that wasn't very exciting. And talking to Alex, Alex was like, "Well, your sky's really empty." And he was saying, like, putting stuff that warped when you change direction so you can never get there. But I was like, no, I really like the idea that everything you see you can get to in the game. And I don't know if I can find the picture. I remember doing this joke one where I just put this, like, blue sky with clouds in the background. And it looked awful. But what happened was at PAX East, I was staying with my old college roommate. He was in Boston at the time. He was getting his PhD from MIT. And he's a mathematician actually specializing in four-dimensional geometry. Oh man, like I'm looking at this now and I'm just looking at the artifacts. Look at these artifacts. They were there from the beginning. And we got rid of them. And he was a mathematician, and on our last day after PAX East, we just kind of hang out. We went to, they have this bar on MIT campus. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It like looks like a library. It's like really well lit. No, it was a skybox, the sky, and we were just talking about crazy geometry. And that, I remember after the bar, we were walking to the station, and I was like, oh my god, I can just wrap the world around and create a 3 torus. And that would solve all of these problems. And, because I think I was talking about what would happen, what should I do with water, and then all that stuff kind of happened. And now it's like, yeah, like, I think sometime, at some point around here I show, right, I do my write-up, and then here I show this, right, like, this is what people at, this is what happened at the PAX build. You'd fall off, and the screen would fade to black. And then we changed to this, and this was the first implementation of it. And it felt so good, but it took a really long time. And I can understand why people don't do this, because it changes the design of your game completely. Like, there was so much you've got to work out, and but I just knew it was so cool of a thing that it had to be in the game, and it's actually become the key thing that the entire game is designed around. Yeah, super early screenshot. I mean, even here, right? Even this, comparing it to, right? I can't believe it. It's like this. I thought this looked super cool. Like, I thought this looked like it had actual art direction, and now, like, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get this printed, this like giant 36-inch print, which is gonna be super sweet. But yeah, one of these days I'd love to spend an hour and just do like a dedicated walk through the entire project from the beginning. We'd play. It would probably be like a full day. Hey, Mint. It'd probably be like a full day Twitch stream, and I just want to play through all of the single builds and talk about everything that's been done up until now. But yeah, so you know, Relativity 6, Relativity 6B. So you can see we're starting to get around. And I remember this room. This is so funny because we have a room now that completely works when wool wrapping. At the time, this didn't have wool wrapping, and the problem is you'd fall off and you get to the bottom, and you were just completely lost. And it like totally solved the so this space like wasn't navigable like you just couldn't work this level without the world wrapping. And then once you got world wrapping, it worked so much better. You can see the floor there, right? You can see this is just this giant room that you're in. So yeah, these were sort of like very early attempts at making really complex, messy worlds that didn't really work out well. Man, the lighting here is so ugly. I think actually in 7 I have a better... Right, okay, so now where it's like we're starting to go outside. So I'm starting to use Pro Builder, which was really helpful. Building stuff outside. So these were the early outside experiments. This is a puzzle that's going to be in the game. I really like this one. I'm going to bring it back. But yeah, very early attempts at outside. This was a puzzle. I had it for about a year, and then I took it out. It didn't fit with what the game was doing. Let me see. Relativity 8. Yeah, so these are our early color changing beams. Color beam 20. Yeah. Okay, again, early attempts at playing with architecture outside. Kind of a lot of the root of the game is like here. And now we just like refined it. Earliest trees. This is actually not a bad look. I would love to release early builds too. But yeah. Yes, yeah. Ed, that was actually a Relativity print. That was I was specifically trying to build MC Escher's Relativity. Yeah, I think the min we're gonna do that maybe in a few months. You know, once you have a few more stuff. My print came with the mirrored E. I'd like to return it, please. Ha. Yeah. So these were early. I had some like depth of field going on. Again, this was a library, which essentially. So actually, you guys see that? You guys remember the staircase? That's in the level that we've been working on for quite some time. When we come back to it, let me show you. So yeah, it's like a lot of these ideas have been there early on, and it's just been this matter of refining everything. Right? If you guys remember this level, the inside of it is the big library hallway, right? This one. This was before we did the edge detection fix. Look at all those. Look at all those artifacts. Right, and I actually had the idea here. Right, this had that library, and this was it. So this was back in this was 2013 December 2013, December 15th, 2013 was when we took this screenshot. I think that's the time. I guess we took it at like 2 in the morning. 2:21 a.m. was when this was taken. No, maybe that's not the time. I don't actually know what that is. But yeah, these are all the kind of how it's changed since then. All these levels that were built and never got made. They're just, yeah. I mean, even looking at this, I think it's really cool, and there's a lot of like really interesting architecture that I'd like to bring back. Experimented with indoor lighting, which I got rid of because everyone thought they were buttons. First time experimenting with white background instead of black. This is a pool of water. I thought that looked kind of cool. And you can see our very, very early attempts at edge detection, I think. In fact, they might be here. I remember we were doing like a whole series comparing edge detection. Oh yeah, water. This got rid of. This didn't work mechanically. This still looks pretty cool though. This was the first screenshot I shared on Reddit. January 8th. Yeah, got some of that ambient occlusion going. Oh yeah. Look, that was our very first attempt at edge detection shader. This is using Unity's. Look at that. Not anti-aliased. Look at those artifacts. It's completely missing the edges here. And it looked awful, and I think a lot of people were really against edge detection, but I think it's just because it was just bad edge detection. So we got rid of it and didn't do edge detection, and then didn't come back until much later. But yeah, I remember this was right before I headed off to Indicate East. And I remember thinking the game looked really good back then, which now is just kind of embarrassing. How long have I been working on this? I've been working full-time on this since November 2012. Yeah. No, should do some fashion. Yeah, this is, yeah, so this is again, our first time going outside, white background, and hey, this is kind of cool. And let's just keep refining the idea until, honest to God, I thought for a long time the game was just going to look like this. I thought this was about as good as it was going to get visually. But man, check it out. Even then, I was playing with water even then. March 2014, we were playing with water already. And it's now I'm finally starting to make puzzles. Look, I even had water bending. Look at this. I was way ahead of my time, sort of, myself. I think our first time playing with interesting window patterns. Again, this is really, really funny too, because when you think of how far the window patterns have come, right? If you think of just where the windows are now and how intricate they are, it's what was this? I can't get over how awful this game used to look. Yeah. This level is actually one of the first versions of what is now the first level, again with lots of problems, but all the ideas here ended up getting refined and it became the perfect version of what this level is. Yeah, we took a lot of things. Yeah, so early attempts at the windows. Right, this level, all the puzzles have more or less stayed the same. Right, okay, and then I think at this point we started to go with the edge detection shader. I think this was the look that made me I love this look, and I thought this was a very interesting look and decided to go with that. So this was the edge detection early on, but again it was very hard. Depth perception was really bad in this version. And, yep, these artifacts, they've been there since the very beginning. Yeah, starting to get more complex stuff outside. Yep, playing around. I think our first few attempts at, right, so these was, yeah, in fact, we can actually get the exact moment when we started to have multiple versions of the world. So it looks like we had it there. Oh yeah, this is it! This is the image I sent to Alex Bruce when he was talking about Sky. Why or how or why did I suddenly think I've got to come up with a new art? So I went to GDC 2014. That was my second game event. And so that was in March, and in February I was at Indie Katie's, and I showed kind of that was like my first time talking. I met Alex Bruce there, and he played the game, gave me some feedback, and I went back and I rewrote the beginning, and I knew the puzzles were good. And I went to GDC and I met Justin Ma there. It was kind of funny because I had seen him like give a bunch of interviews, and FTL is an amazing game. And I just saw him walking around, and I was like, "Hey, Justin Ma!" And then I like forgot he actually doesn't know me. So he like was kind of taken aback. But I was just like, "Hey man, I got this game. I have it in my laptop with me. Do you have 10 minutes to check it out?" And he was like, yeah. So he sat down and he played through it, and he gave me some good feedback. And he was like, "Yeah, I think you're, some level design is still really rough, but I think you have a good idea." And he's like, "But the one thing I would really work on is the look of it." And he told me to check out Distance, which had a really strong aesthetic. And so that happened with him. And I met up with a bunch of few people, and that like Rami also told me I needed to work on the look. Funny, because I was like, at the time, I remember showing him these images on the iPad, and I was like, I think I've got about 2 years left. And I was kind of, because people would be like, a lot of people would be like, 2 years? It won't take that long. You'll be just a year. And I remember very clearly, because Rami goes, he's like, "Yep, 2 years. That sounds about right." Like, he didn't even try to make me feel good. He was just like, and he was, well, completely right. So, but yeah, this was kind of our first attempt at that, so yeah, you can see, yeah, no, actually, so this isn't the world wrapping, this was just a really big level, but this is our very first attempt at the sky. So this is some of the joke images we took, and then I think this was the first attempt at world wrapping. I think these might actually have been placed by hand. Yeah, I think, no, we got, wait, here's our very first screenshot. This must be our very first screenshot then of world wrapping. Damn. I'm gonna put it on our desktop. This is weird. I'm like getting kind of emotional here. This game's been working. Let me see. Where is our very, very first screenshot of, yeah, actually, now I remember I have 3 monitors, so I can just, yeah, this one. This is our very first screenshot of world wrapping. And, yeah, I think I was placing all of these by hand, because you can see there's only like 4 there, but I was trying to see what it would look like with the level out in the distance. And I used to have to merge everything one piece at a time. So you can actually see here, so first of all, check out all the artifacts. There's no color fading. There's that white outline. And there are parts missing because I didn't. Now it's like, now we have this level editor tool. It goes, I choose the level, I do LOD action, mesh utilities, check, combine meshes, and it's done. It used to take hours to set all of that up. Networking Pro. But yeah, like at GDC, everyone just told me you had to, like, that was the one feedback. It was like, the puzzles are great, you've got a great idea. You know, the feel that all needs to be worked on, but you need a better look. And even just on Twitter, like, I was posting it. I remember the very first post, Chris Priestman, the very first media coverage was by Chris Priestman for Indie, not Indie. Do you guys remember that website that went out of business? The, like, Indie something? The like, founder, like, he, like, sent all these really dirty emails to a game developer, and then that site got shut down. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Like, it really sucked, because I actually kind of liked that website, and then that found out, and it was pretty horrible. But Chris Priestman, who's a really great writer, was writing for that stuff, and he used to do this thing called Screenshot Saturday Roundup, where he would round up all these pictures from Screenshot Saturday. And I remember his comment was like, even though this looks like every other first-person puzzler, it has enough that I'm intrigued. And I knew right away that it's a bit more complex than what Matt is suggesting. We're doing a lot of optimization stuff. We've started. NVIDIA reached out. They found out about the game, I think, through E3. So that I'm really glad I went to E3. Some of the engineers, and we got now have like an account manager there. But we are hoping to do some really cool stuff and push a lot of it to the GPU. But yeah, I think these early attempts were by hand, and then I finally figured out a way I could place it programmatically. Yeah, so this was April 25th, 2014. We started doing that, playing around with the visuals, trying to get the spacing right. It took a while to figure out what was the right spacing, and then I think it was like starting to get this, and I remember being very, very happy with the way this looked. Just having that blank space filled in. And I remember what Alex said about this first stuff was he said, you're making an already confusing game even more confusing. But it definitely has been the right direction to go in, without a doubt. But even then I had trees. Oh yeah, I had trees way before this, but yeah, so this is yeah, and then Rock Paper Shotgun covered some stuff from this, so this is kind of, yeah, early attempts. And yeah, we were trying to go with the night mode. That didn't really work. So yeah, remember that level I talked about? Remember that level we talked about super early on in I believe it was Relativity 07? Or was it 08? No, it was before that. It was 06. Hold on, let me find this screenshot. There's too many here. But yeah, eventually I want to make a video. Right, this one. Remember this? So this was in September 30th. This level, this whole thing was in a room, and it came back in about over a year later. About not over a year, about a year later, with the rope wrapping, and then it totally worked. And we have this level still in the current game. It works well as a hub world. Awful, just awful. What's Mutsimo? What are you talking about? Have you been keeping the lights? How have you been keeping the lights on for the past 3 years? The first year was just through savings. I mean, a lot of people think about like money coming in, but you really just want to keep your burn rate low. Like it's money going out, right? So I don't really go outside. I like rarely eat out. All the money I have is just goes into the game. A lot of it is through art residencies. This is actually not something that's super common. This is actually not like, you guys know about Stugan. If you think about it, it was like this like game developer summer camp in Sweden. It had like some of the Angry Birds guys as mentors, and that's very new. And that's modeled after the art residency program. Before this, I was an installation artist, very much in the art world. And they have art residencies where you go to an art center and you spend 3 to 6 months there, and they usually cover, you have a stipend, but you have a studio, and the idea is like you can just get away from your normal life, kind of the grind, and just focus on art, and they provide a lot of support. And that's kind of how I did, and I've done about 4 or 5 of those residencies. I'm actually doing my 6th one right now at UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, in their new media art department. It's very different. My first one was in Omaha back in 2009, so that's very much just something from the art world. That's not really in the video game world. But basically what happened was after that very first version, I showed it, I worked on it for 4 months. So I didn't think this game would take that long, right? So I had enough for 4 months, and then what happened was I made that version, I showed it to Young Horses, and it didn't do that well. And what happened was I got into a residency in Shanghai, and this was a very weird one. It was run by Swatch Art Peace Hotel. It's run by Swatch, the watch company, and it was at it's kind of really cool. So you basically had a bunch of artists living there. So I was doing some photography. These were the other artists. I took their photos. I love this one. But it got so yeah, they had the studio space. I had the studio space in Shanghai, in the Bund, which is like the Times Square equivalent of Shanghai. And I was there for 6 months. I was living at this hotel. They paid for flight. I didn't have a stipend, but like it's really cheap to eat in Shanghai. It's like the rent, but I was living rent-free for 6 months, just doing whatever I wanted with art. So you can actually see that's the game being worked on in the background. And I was like, well, what I'm going to do, and this actually wasn't very good for installations, but I thought, okay, I basically have 6 months expense-free, more or less. I'm going to spend these 6 months rewriting the game from scratch, and if it's promising enough, when I come back to Chicago, then I can dedicate more time to it. And that's what happened. After 6 months, I came back and I decided it was enough that I knew I had something good. Chris7001 asks, aren't you afraid that if you show the game to someone who hasn't heard of it with just minimal instructions, they would get confused? Yes, but this is why the game has been playtested over 1,000 times. And right now, the intro works for everyone. And that was a big... I had this one intro for a very long time. And actually a big moment from that. This is why you need a playtest, and this is why showing at conventions are really great. So last summer, I got invited to show with the mix at SIGGRAPH. And they had their and it was kind of a weird show because people, like the show floor didn't have a lot of games. There were a lot of tech demos. Like the Distance guys were showing there as well. And they thought, people came up to them asking what technology they were demoing. Like they thought their game was like a tech demo. But anyway, they had their in a setup, and the first 2 days at SIGGRAPH, I stood by the computer, and when people came up, I would explain to them how to move the mechanic. I'd be like, go up to this wall, move stuff, and I was about to go to Tokyo Game Show the next month, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm not going to be able to stand next to people. No. So I was telling them what to expect, right? And I'm at SIGGRAPH and I'm explaining to people you got to walk forward, press spacebar to rotate, and I was like, man, I am not going to be able to do this in Tokyo Game Show. I don't speak Japanese, so it was 3 days. I did that for the first 2 days, and I thought, okay, on the third day, what I'm going to do, and they had this setup where they had the monitor and the TV. You had like your monitor up top and the controls, and you could have your desktop like underneath the kiosk. And so I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not stand next to the kiosk. I'm actually going to stand in the back so I could see, it's like people were playing and I could see their face and I could watch their, and I could watch the computer. And what I did was on that third day, I did not tell people how to play and I just watched them, and it was devastating. Like people got so confused early on. And that was like one of the big things, because what I was doing was I was teaching you to press the button first and not rotate, right? And what happened is that people accidentally hit spacebar, they just got totally confused. They're just like, what happened? And it took that whole day of just watching everyone circle. Like people would come up, get confused, 30 seconds and leave. And I was like, oh my God, I've got a problem with the intro. And I just went back, completely rewrote it, took it to Tokyo Game Show, and then that worked well, right? And like, so Dark Lightscraft is talking about, it was really easy to pick up experiments, and that was a Gamer Camp. So that was after SIGGRAPH. So that was, Gamer Camp was the end of the year. So I had done 13 shows. So every time I just like worked on one thing and tweaked. So it's not the biggest challenge is actually, the biggest challenge is actually first-person controls. Like WSD and mouse to look and twin stick, that's like a bigger problem than what this game is. But moving, that intro has been rewritten 40 times. So I'm not afraid. So Chris7001, it's like, I'm not afraid that I'd show the game to someone who's never heard of it. Because I know now, having tested and rewritten, having gone through 1,000 playtesters and rewritten it 40 times, I know that intro works. It's actually, in fact, it's harder to tell people about the game. It's easier. Like, everyone's like, hey, what's this game about? Can you tell me? And I'm just like, just play it. Like, everything is explained. You don't need me, and that's so much easier. So I'm very happy with that. And there's a lot of really subtle stuff. I'll do something probably after, closer to release, that explains all the changes that I've gone into the intro from a design standpoint. But anyway, let's continue with level design. Trip down memory lane. Over. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So yeah, I'm not afraid just because I've tested it an insane amount, and we need to do that with the game, with all the new levels coming up, right? So that's why all the stuff with the MIDI control, all the runtime UI is getting worked, so it's like I can show the game, have someone test it, and I can make real-time changes and ask them if there's any improvements. So that's... When I am designing levels, what is that tool? Are you just talking about... this is ProBuilder that I'm using. It's a plugin. But we also have a lot of our own custom tools to help me generate stuff. Yeah, and the intro's gotten even better now. We've done a few things. So yeah, oh wait, actually that's the wrong path. Does ProBuilder let you carve? I think so. It's actually pretty powerful. I don't do... Oh, hey, Tanya! How's it going? Hey, yeah, yeah, Tanya is a developer based in Toronto, right? Yeah, hello, how's it going? Yeah, you are based in Toronto, because I've seen you at all the events I've gone to. I might actually be spending February in Toronto, which would be kind of cool. In which case, we should hang out. I think ProBuilder lets you carve. I've never used it, David, so I can't really speak to it. It is like way more powerful than what I actually do with it. Oh yeah, Mintz is here too. CRL So yeah, the idea with this is like we don't want it biased in any direction. So there's, you know, this axis and then this axis and then actually I think this should not. I feel like we're missing an axis. Oh right, because this should be this way. It should go against the stairs. Like it should be orthogonal to these stairs. By the way, anyway, it's oh man, Mint is not streaming Splatoon tonight. Yeah, Mint, have you recovered from BitBash? That's been Yeah, no, and I know that, right? Yeah, I think, Chris, you're right. A lot of them, and I think a lot of that is just due to lack of proper playtesting. You know, a lot of people really compare the game to Antichamber, and I actually the biggest thing I learned from Antichamber is just the intro pacing. Like that's what's been the biggest thing for me. Biggest lesson from that game is how well the pacing in that game was. So it's actually not with the puzzles, but the pacing. But yeah, that's been that's been redesigned a lot. So yeah, like, and it's now where it's like everybody gets through it. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm not. You know what, Ganeshi, you are absolutely right. Damn. Wait, what? How come all the paths disappeared? Whoa. Oops. Fuck. Well, actually, now that's. I guess it's actually a good. Why are none of them showing up? That's so freaking weird. Update selection? Something's wrong with Pro Builder. What the hell just happened? Whoa, that is weird. But yes, we should just put all of these into one parent object. Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't doing that. That was weird. Like I said, I'm still learning. Yeah, I don't know why I was placing everything by hand. Tower block. For this one, I don't actually want to make it a, I think there was like a Pro Builder bug where it just like glitched out and then all the things stopped showing up. I think it like doesn't let you do too much undo. I think we just like went beyond the limit. It's a work in progress, so there are still problems with it. Yeah. Thanks, stuff Matt does. Yeah, that was pretty weird. Alright, so that should be this tower block. So yeah, now what we should be able to do is actually just duplicate this. And yeah, what was I thinking? I was so dumb. Right, so we want it, this is what I mean, like we need it orthogonal to the stairs. Or do we? Yeah, a lot of the early stages, you're just sort of learning to block out everything. Yep. 5 hours is honestly not that bad. 5 hours is a long journey. No, well, I think it's not so much the length of time, right? Yeah, it's Mint had to drive 5 hours after we had like a crazy show. What the fuck? Okay, this is what the position of it needs to be. So it's actually has to be in the same direction as the stairs that it's warping, and then it has to bend. It has to step down into it. Wait, what? How do I... Okay, so what is this second rotation? It's like, it's now it's down as that. So now my down is this. So I think it's this direction, yeah. That thing seems like it's gonna work. Now, the reason why we're using all of this stuff, right, is so that the reason why this is where using prefabs is going to be really handy, because we tag everything as environment, tag this. So yeah, so everything in here is environment, that's environment. And let's do apply, path, apply on this, and now we should be able to... So now let's go ahead and put everything inside this level game object. What we want to do is set up relativity mesh utility, set up world wrap bounds for this, delete these two pieces because we don't need them. Game object 1, why do we have second relativity utils? That's not necessary. This bonsai tree can get deleted. These windows can get deleted. This 7 path, that gets deleted. This path gets deleted too. And now this is the world geo. What we're gonna do is we use, so like this is the tool. This is what David worked on. That is super awesome. Duplicate original disable. Oops. Let's there we go. Right. And now let's hit play, and this is, we're gonna get to see it. Alright, so this is sort of what we have. Right, so the idea is that you can walk up these stairs. Right, okay, so the stairs are not correctly colored, but the idea is like every 3 steps you would sort of see, we would need a way to go down, right? But the idea is like you would come down to here, and it would give you this sort of, yeah, we'll play with it a bit, but I really like the look here. So this is what our level is going to be. This tool has saved so much, and the window generator tool, David has been absolutely awesome. Right, so eventually what I want these is like to be very intricate towers, and I think they would connect up. Yeah, so these would connect up, and then we would, you know, of course this would all need to get lined up. Alright, so I think I'm going to end the stream here tonight, but thank you all for coming by. Tanya, thank you. Ganeshi, I will look into that a little bit more next time. Let me catch up on the stream. Yeah, all of you should make a note of coming to BitBash in Chicago next year. Maybe we should do like a cool stream during that show. That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd be happy to help organize that. I'm big on streaming now. How was the BitBash? BitBash was awesome. And so yeah, cool. Anyway, I will. Yeah. The second stereo segment is broken. I need to just kind of go in and tweak that. But a lot of times it's like getting everything right. You have to actually do some math. And I'm not really doing that right now. But anyway. I will talk to you guys tomorrow at 8:30. Starting next week, though, the Tuesday stream is going to be in the afternoon. It's going to be from 2:30 to 4, so people from Europe don't have to stay up super late. And also, it just gives you a break for one of the weekday evenings. But yes. Anyway, thanks for joining. Yeah. We should talk. We have a year, so that would be a lot of time to plan. I'll bring that up to Rob Locke. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow.